2 years for an amendment to go on the ballot in November of 2026, we can give people relief right this minute. And that's what I'm calling for today in that form of a rollback. In addition, as we look forward to a longer term solution, we must put constitutional guardrails around local government to make sure that this does not happen again. We saw this in 2006 and 7 because the same thing happened where people's incomes were going up, but property taxes were skyrocketing far above their incomes. We want to put caps under my plan, caps on local government to grow no faster than population and incomes, which is our budget would allow for that to increase, and make sure we have guardrails of a supermajority vote if they want to go outside that, and a referendum of the voters so that in the next election, voters can say, no way, thumbs down, or approve it if they wish, but to make sure that the voters have the backstop for any outrageous tax increases that we witnessed over the last 4 or 5 years. And so this is a plan that is simple, that will guarantee every single Florida property tax, whether it's a business, whether it's a renter, whether it's a homestead property, taxpayer will get a tax cut, and they will not see their taxes go up while we work on a long-term solution. And so with that, I'm glad to have the people here behind me that have shared some other additional ideas about affordability that is both part of our affordability plan and can become part of our affordability plan. In the coming weeks, I look forward to sharing with Floridians the things we can do to help reduce insurance, healthcare, education, and also significantly grow better jobs, higher paying jobs. We have a lot of great jobs in the state of Florida, but that's where we also need to really lean in to make sure that people's incomes go up to afford to live in Florida. But under this plan, our Florida First affordability plan, we will make Florida affordable again for all of our citizens, and it has to start today with immediate property tax rollback. Thank you. I'll take your questions.
This has already happened, right? You said 2006, 2007, so it's not like a brand new thing for the legislature to contemplate.
That's right. I'm looking for a template that is simple, that can be done, and this is that example because it's been done before. And so the way they did it in 2006 and 7 that I think the legislature could look at is they did a look back and said, if your county has been fiscally conservative and they've given some of that money back to taxpayers as they should, then they have a smaller rollback. If your county is one that has taken every single penny, and this has happened in many counties, you have a larger rollback. That is up to the legislature to look at the numbers and make a decision on what that rollback amount looks like. But what I'm calling for is that every single property taxpayer, whether you're in a homestead property, whether you're a small business, whether you're somebody that's renting, should see relief under this plan. And importantly, if this plan is not enacted, you're going to see a property tax increase. Because remember, each and every year, even homestead property goes up 3%. If you're someone on fixed income, you're paying 30% over a decade. Your Social Security is not going up 30%. And so we're really seeing a lot of pain for our seniors. You see first-time home buyers that I bought a house in my 20s. Today, Brett's in the room that works on our campaign. He's 23 years old. His generation doesn't believe they'll ever own a home. Or if they do, they'll be in their 40s and 50s. That is not America. And I will, as governor, will not allow Florida to be a place that first-time home buyers cannot afford to buy a home until they're 40 or 50 years old. And so we have to do some things in the long term on the constitutional ballot to make sure we're giving relief where it's due and go as far as we can and make the case to the voters to get to 60%. But remember, that constitutional solution has to get to 60%. So what I'm saying is, let's not wait for 2 years to see that benefit. Let's continue down that path. And I'm looking for the governor's proposal and the legislature to come together on something even bolder. But today we can give relief. It's been done before. There's a template, a clear template for the legislature to follow. We're 45 days out from the new session. The time is right. Let's deliver relief at or near the new year, and so that people can see some relief in sight, because they see no relief in sight. And so we're committed to that, not just in property tax relief, but across the board in our affordability plan.
Speaker, there are 11 months right now, essentially, the election, certainly the holiday season. Do you see yourself right now as the clear and indisputed alternative to those who are not ready to support Byron Mountains?
I do. I mean, we're the undisputed leader as well on having a plan. We have a comprehensive affordability plan, which we'll continue to build out. And then in this meeting today, there were some additional ideas. And so I do, because people want somebody who puts Florida first. And that's what we're campaigning on. We're looking and listening to voters at what their concerns are. And this is a major, major concern.
Jay Collins, the other candidate, to get in the race and run an effective campaign, but specifically Jay Collins.
I can't speak to people's personal decision. Anybody that wants to get in the race can get in the race and offer their vision. We've offered ours. And so I think you look at leadership, 20 years in the military, 2 wars, former state attorney, and as speaker, importantly to this affordability piece, is we went after insurance prices that were going up double digits. Automobile rates were going up 30% before our reforms. We're the only state in the country right now where automobile insurance is going down. State Farm just announced another 10% decrease January 1. If you want a leader who's going to fix tomorrow's problems, when they say it can't be done, you go to a leader like I did when I was Speaker of the House, along with my colleagues that helped us do that. But we went after things and focused on the mission. And as a veteran, I focus on mission. There's too much ego. There's too much arrogance. Frankly, there's too much politics in politics. I'm in this race because as a veteran, as a father of young children, I want to solve problems as governor. I'm not focused on what's happening in Washington, D.C. or other races. I'm focusing on being the best governor possible. And that begins by listening to people and what their concerns are, not running off and campaigning in other states, but focusing on a Florida first agenda. That's what I'm doing. And I think I am the viable alternative. In the end, we're going to win.
Concerned that Republican donors specifically could see you as against President Trump's chosen candidate?
Well, I'm not running against President Trump. I am so grateful. I was up at 3 a.m. in the morning, high-fiving and hugging my friends when he won that race, because we wouldn't have a country in 4 years if Kamala Harris had won, in my opinion. I think President Trump is crushing it. And the governor's done a great job here. We're so blessed, but what we can't do is be complacent. And I was one of the architects of what we call the free state of Florida, right there with Governor DeSantis, in that very robust, very significant, conservative, and consequential 2 years while I was speaker. And so we're going to continue. If you like the free state of Florida, you're going to continue to have it. But we're also going to be great partners with President Trump. So this is not an us versus them. It's a we. This is a we campaign. No, look, I'm friends with all these guys. I know all of them, and I'm not running a campaign against them. I'm running a campaign for the people of Florida. I'm putting Florida first. I have leadership that the other candidates, frankly, don't have. I've delivered results. And again, I'm focused on people's needs. It's a we campaign. It's not a me campaign. It's a we campaign on the issues that we talked about around the round table today. And that's where we're going to stay focused. And where we need to make adjustments, we'll make adjustments, because a good leader listens more than they talk. And I'm listening.
That was HR 1. That was your big bill, expand the school vouchers. I want to ask you, sir, recently a report found the state lacks a consistent student ID system to allow the proper tracking of children so their funds could follow them. That prompted Senator John Gates yesterday to say whatever can go wrong, the system has gone wrong. He said he's going to file a bill that would replace voucher funding in a line item separate from the education budget. Do you support that?
I think you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. In any program, there's 500,000, 500,000 students that are enjoying that and have choice in education, which makes all of our education systems better. It also rewards our values. We saw in COVID, a lot of the parents behind me that were aghast at what they were seeing in terms of what their students were being taught. So this is a great program, but if there's, out of that 500,000, if there's 50 or 500 that are not complying in the proper way, kick them off the program. Kick them off the program. That's enforcement, but don't use any problems along the way to eliminate the program or redo the program. This is a program I get parents coming up to me all the time saying, thank you for allowing us to send our child to the school of their choice, because even brothers and sisters learn differently. And so I'm absolutely committed to school choice, as well as our public schools, our charter schools, our home schools. I don't care where you go to school. We want a world-class education for every child, wherever they go to school here in the state of Florida.
I don't know if you heard Senator Gates talk about filing a bill, though, that would keep the funding separately here in terms of the school, the funding for vouchers separate from the total public education budget, because of this problem not being able to like track the students where they're going.
I think you fix the problem. You don't reform or redo the whole system because of a problem. That's what we had with Obamacare. You know, we had issues where people were not getting their needs met, and we solved it by this massive mandate of programs that makes every one of our healthcare policies more expensive than it needs to be. My wife and I just bought an oven, and it has a couple features we don't know how to use, we'll never use, but we paid for them, and that's Obamacare. Because every one of us are paying for things that if we had a choice and we could just lay it out, we would never spend that kind of money on that kind of healthcare policy. So on the healthcare front, I want the federal government and Republicans who used to say they wanted to repeal Obamacare to put their money where their mouth is, do it, send it back to the states, as President Trump has described. Let the money, same concept as educational freedom. How about some healthcare freedom? Send the money back, let the money follow the patient. Let them shop their health care like we shop everything else. I guarantee you here in the state of Florida, we'll have cheaper, better health care for all Floridians.
Endorse any of the 8 property tax proposals that are being looked at right now in the legislature? Would you find yourself able to sign one of them or to approve one of them?
Look, there's a lot. I served with these guys not 12 months ago, and there's a lot of thoughtful, conservative, principled men and women who are offering something as a solution to the property tax issue. What I will say is there needs to be a plan. So the governor and the legislature, the House and Senate, have to come together and agree on a plan. I think so. I think so. 2 at most, but I think you need one plan, and you need one plan that's straightforward, that people can look at and say, does this make my life better? And one of the things that I didn't mention in my opening remarks is that once you solve that problem and you bring people relief, you have to make it so that local governments can't take their hand out of my right pocket and put it in my left pocket and tax you back as much or more 10 different ways. And so this is why these caps on population plus income are across the board. It's not just property taxes, but we don't want local government or any government, state government, to grow faster than our incomes. This is a fundamental principle. While I was speaker, we had record tax relief. We are, next to New Hampshire, the cheapest state government in the country. We need to have the same from our local governments. They have needs. There's public safety. I want to make sure in this plan we prioritize public safety, those essential services we talked about in the roundtable. We all want those to continue. But some of the stuff we're reading about, you know, paying in Orlando, like paying $400,000. I heard about this morning, $400,000 to go count trees in Orlando. What are we doing? That's not a core function of government. And so continuing the DOGE effort, I won't just DOGE the local governments, I'll DOGE our state governments. We need to look at the state level and not pretend like everything's perfect in their state government. So we're going to continue to squeeze out waste, fraud, and abuse. It's there. We'll leverage all resources to do that. And every dollar that the government doesn't need for core functions that we all agree on needs to go back to the taxpayers in their pockets. They know better how to spend it than we do. Yes, sir.
What would you do as governor to make sure the issue of funding for vouchers doesn't arise again for parents that want to send their?
Well, it's about a wonderful program that's meeting the needs of 500,000 or more students. It's growing in popularity. It is successful. It's working, but administratively, when there's an administrative problem or there's somebody in the system that's cheating, kick them out of the system or reform it. I think it's fine to reform it. What I'm saying is wholesale, like, okay, we've got to throw the baby out with the bathwater is not an acceptable solution. This is really, really meaningful for a lot of parents. And so I would caution legislators to go easy because some of the proposals that were on offer last year were, confirm that your child's enrolled in this school each and every month. Well, nobody has to do that in a public school or a charter school. So you got to be reasonable. But yes, look, as a former prosecutor, we're going to have transparency in all levels of government, and school choice and every other bucket is not immune from that. So just because I'm a big supporter doesn't mean we're not going to come down hard on people that are not doing the right thing. And if it's an IT issue or a software issue, so we know where those monies are flowing, let's fix that. But don't throw the whole system out because you have issues where things are not aligning properly. Any other questions? Thank you guys very much for being here. Let's get this done. Yeah, and my closing message to our legislators is I know that they want to do the right thing. I know the governor wants to get relief, is we can do this right now through this immediate rollback. Let's continue the conversation about something bigger and bolder that has to go to the ballot, has to get 60%, but let's adopt a rollback now, Florida first program that saves taxpayers today. We don't want another person losing their home. We don't want another person leaving this state because they can no longer afford to live here. We will make Florida affordable again under our plan. Thank you. Yes, thank you guys. It's freezing in here.
It's cold.